Hi, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of the Endless Celts Podcast, which again is brought to you by our show sponsors, Manscaped. The best in men's below in the waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision engineers tools for your family jewels. And I must say, boys, they do give this wee body odour as well, which keeps them fresh and smelling lovely. And have engineered the ultimate groin and body trimmer by focusing on intelligent functionality and an incredible, comfortable grooming experience. Their fourth generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0, by the way, has a torch so you can see everything. Has now launched all over Europe and features wireless charging, a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents, and comes with additional guards size 1 to 4 so you can trim whatever size you want to fine-tune your trim. And thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology, you can now feel confident shaving your balls, again, as you Scottish people would say. So join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you, 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code CELTS at manscaped.com. And the link will be in the description below. And again, as I said last week, it's a brilliant idea for Christmas, John, isn't it, in terms of a gift for a family member, a relative, a friend, whoever, really?
No, definitely. I think we can all admit, I think we're all guilty of letting ourselves go a wee bit during lockdown as well.
Whoa.
Most people have let themselves
Aye.
go. By a perfect opportunity for guys to get themselves back in. Well, I was going to say in shape, but kind of sort themselves out a wee bit. But even for any girls that are listening, man, like if you've got a partner who could do with a wee bit of a trim as well, like yeah.
But didn't all want to be flossing, John? But didn't all want to be flossing?
That's very true. What about yourself, Franny? How you feel about the gift, the 20% off? I know you said last week you're going to treat yourself. Have you done it yet?
Oh, I've given myself. I've got a wee buzz cut off the barber, then I've given myself a wee buzz cut below. Got to try these blades out. Stephen. Got to try these blades out and see what they do.
And as always,
going for the skin fade down below.
Oh, and as always, boys, I mean, your balls will thank you. So get on that 20% offer, and we'll keep this podcast moving. Joined by my co-host John and show regular Francis. How are you both?
Good, mate. Good. It's good to be back on.
Yeah, all good, Stephen. All good. Well, obviously, again, it's been a nice weekend, and that some are calling it the Bertie Auld final, and Postacoglu's made his 55th cup final already.
Outstanding, pal. By the way, can I just say as well, just before we continue, like, if I sound a wee bit, I've got a wee bit of a blocked nose in that, so if I sound a bit funny, I just want to put that out there. That's why I'm not at it.
You always sound funny. It's all good, John, all good. But as Francis alluded to, I mean, before we go on to the game, we'll have to revisit Ange Postecoglou. First season, first final. Many believed, John, when he came in, this would be a job that would take ages to rebuild for the team to get into this style of football. But I don't know if you've seen the open goal interview that he done.
No, I've not missed
I've not seen it yet. I'll need to watch it after this. I think that'll be my night time
with Simon Furry and obviously Paul Slane. And again, it's just basically what he says all the time. He just oozes class, doesn't he?
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to watching this interview, actually. Since I've seen that they had advertised it, I've been waiting on it being released. So I saw that it was released earlier. So I need to get on that tonight. But I think it's been a fantastic start for him as a manager. Absolutely. I think, I don't know. I mean, I think we were confident that he would maybe get. If we seen the early days, like what he was trying to build and what he was trying to do, and we're starting to see that come to fruition, and the sort of the way he wants the team to play and everything else, things are starting to click. I still don't think it's fully there yet. I've said that before, but I mean, early signs are definitely positive, and for Ange to come in the conditions that he did, the circumstances that he did, the rebuild that he's had to go through, to then make his first cup final, is absolutely fantastic. And I mean, cup finals aren't they for everybody, as I say.
Well, especially coming off that manager of the month award, Franny. I mean, he's building a team you can see for a long-term goal, a long-term future of the club. He alluded to that at the AGM as well. But just for him to get into that final, and as he said, every win with the team accelerates his process in terms of the style, and it's just brilliant to see, isn't it?
Well, I kind of, if you look back in some of the earlier podcasts, I know I wasn't sort of his biggest. Would I say it? Yeah. Probably not saying his biggest fan is the right thing to say. It was just I was like many of us going, who the hell is this guy? But then when you see his style, and like I touched on in earlier podcasts in his reign, is saying how if you pick up wins, it helps the process because players will start believing in the sort of methods that you're actually giving out. And then he's obviously alluded to that after the weekend, and obviously getting to a final as well further probably boosts that, because it gives you the confidence. You're going, well, we're actually getting to a final because of this, so there must be something in this. So it is sort of in simple terms, anytime if you're trying to play a new style, winning is essential, obviously, but it also helps get the players on board quicker and stuff, because it's obviously not got to be alien to the players, but for what we were playing last season, it's a total different style of what we were playing. I mean, you just need to look at your right and left back. They're obviously doing these inverted fullbacks, so that's a total sort of alien formation for the guys. So when you're picking up results and getting good performances and also getting to finals, you've got to assume it can only help Postecoglou and help the players go, well, this is something we're buying into. We can properly buy into this, and that we can believe in it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all know by now, John, the final's going to be green and white. No orange, no blue inside. It's fantastic to see. So, I mean, going into obviously before the game, the tributes for Bertie Auld were flying out, and Celtic chose to wear number 10 on their shorts, which the game was fantastic. Number 10 scored in terms of Jamesy Forrest, not his proper number, but again, it's number 10. And then the 10 for the other team in the final scored a hat-trick. So the Bertie Auld final, it's well built up to be, but we'll have to touch upon the Green Brigade, the Celtic support, and their tributes and them displays, the pyrotechnics. It was fantastic, wasn't it?
I know that the pyrotechnics is kind of devised, like there's been a little bit divisive in terms of support. I've seen people commend it. I've seen people like sort of say that it was stupid. What I will say is this: I didn't see it on the TV before the game, but the tifo they had that just said Bertie at the start of the game was incredible. I thought that was great. But only 67th minute when they done the dedication to Lisbon Lions, and you seen all the phones and that. I think that's an incredible sight anyway. And I hope, and I think there was a few matches at least towards the end of last season, earlier this year, where that kind of disappeared for the games, or it wasn't seen every game, which I think it needs to be a mainstay now, because it's an incredible sight and it's an awesome tribute as well. I don't think we Celtic fans need to sort of hold these guys to the highest regard possible and honour them in any way we can. You mentioned it in the last episode, and I firmly agree with it about the statues up the Celtic way, having them all lined up. I think that would be fantastic. But as fans, the 67th minute in the song was fantastic. I thought when they brought out the big picture of Bertie and then all the flares and that got lit, it looks incredible. I don't think anybody can disagree with that. In terms of a visual spectacle, it looks fantastic. There's a photo as well. I actually saw Laura Bradburn shared it on Twitter. The one of Kyogo, with the pyro behind them, you see all the flares and that. What a fantastic photo!
Proper, like
it's incredible, and it definitely adds to the sort of the visual aspect, so to speak. And you can say it adds an atmosphere as well. It's impressive to kind of see those things, but we know, and this is what I find stupid. I mean, if Green Brigade, and this is what I think Green Brigade should do, or the fans should do, is and which there probably will be, a fine of some sort for use of the pyrotechnics again, because we've seen it numerous times that something's set up to cover the cost of it, because it was a fitting tribute to Bertie. It was something visually spectacular for me. I quite liked it, but we know the fine's coming. We know that these kind of things are kind of stamped on heavy, and people don't like it. And some people thought it was stupid because, again, they reckon it drags the club's name through the mud, and the club have to pick up fines. So I think if anything happens, we should, as fans collectively, should pick up the cost. But I enjoyed it visually. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I mean, for me anyway, Franny, what John says there, it was an incredible visual on the TV. Obviously, I was watching it, and even watching it, it kind of gave me goosebumps, and the atmosphere with that song in the 67th minute, as John alluded to, it's fantastic. And I caught the video the Green Brigade put up on their YouTube channel, basically showing you how they made all the banners and the things and bring them to the stadium, the preparation for it. And I know we talked about the Green Brigade previously, and probably not so good of a light, but again, they do bring a plus point, and that visual aspect for Bertie Auld wasn't it?
Oh, 100%. Like, I think we even said it on when we were talking about them previously. It's like, me and William anyway, we were sort of 50-50, and sometimes we're like all for them. The next minute we're like, oh. But the Saturday for me, it was visually, it was brilliant. The display, brilliant and stuff. And I know I've kind of sort of been more sided to the side where I don't know if saying against the Green Brigades where I stand or stuff. It's just one of them where I just don't know with them sometimes and things. But I think a bit of me because of who it was, what was representing stuff on Saturday. I sort of was siding with them to an extent. I was even with the pyrotechnics and that was a wee bit. It wasn't an issue because it gave me that kind of ultra sort of feel.
Yes, I like that feel.
I kind of love it. And it's just obviously, like you say, it brings an atmosphere and stuff in it. And I know it kind of kills us more in Europe, but I like seeing it in Europe and a bit as well. Just obviously when it's a wee bit darker. Obviously, it was a bit darker because of the time of year and stuff on Saturday. It was also a wee bit. It was dark and stuff. A bit of it. I loved it. It just brung, and I think because we were obviously still drawing 0-0 at the time, and I don't know if maybe the players maybe fed on that a wee bit and stuff. But I think on Saturday when we were talking, I was a wee bit against the pyrotechnics, but seeing the more I've sort of seen them on Twitter and that, I absolutely loved it, Stephen. I absolutely loved it. Just gave me that proper ultra as Italia 90. Like growing up watching the Italian football, it just gave me that buzz and that, and I absolutely loved it.
I would agree with you there, Franny. You see what you said about the ultras thing, and then you go back and you remember watching like the Italian 90s stuff, and if you look at the old games. Remember we used to watch that program that was on Channel 4, and all these teams in that were doing. AC Milan was some of their stuff was incredible as well with the bright red flares, and it does bring an element of atmosphere to it, and I think it looks fantastic. But as I say, it's obviously the powers that be, so to speak, in Europe, and they crack down hard on it, and the clubs suffer, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But I mean, I like it personally. I think it looks incredible, and I think it should be allowed. But I mean, that's just me.
Should we maybe then be questioning sort of the stewarding and stuff, then saying how, because it's not like one or two players are getting in with. They're getting in with. I mean, I'm not saying they're getting in with hundreds, but they're getting in with plenty. So can we be questioning stewards going, why are they getting? Why you should be doing your job? I don't know if that's maybe just passing the buck. I don't know.
Nah, because you start violating.
Because I appreciate obviously stewards. I appreciate stewards aren't really sort of trained up for that. Really,
I mean, me personally,
full body searches and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's not stewards' job, man. It's not stewards'.
It's not just that. You imagine they implemented something like that at Celtic Park or anywhere. There's no way that would ever happen. But I know what you mean. It's like, but just let fans be fans, man. Let them support their team in the way they see fit. I mean, I know you could say there's it can be quite dangerous.
It can impact.
We've saw hands explode and stuff like that. So it's like, I mean, but for a visual atmosphere, for a visual perspective, atmosphere and everything else, I thought it was incredible. But I don't want to dwell on that too much because but it looked incredible. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I mean, me personally, I've been a steward at some football games, and I'll tell you one thing: if you tried to body search a fan, you get gubbed in the mouth. That's one thing that'll definitely happen. But look, I mean, amazing spectacle, amazing visual performance by the group brigade. So kudos to them, and we'll move on to the actual game itself. And coming to yourself first, John. It was built up. Obviously, Celtic were in the 10 on the shorts and going out for Bertie Auld. Entertain, as his word was always entertain. It might have been not entertaining, but it was a workmanlike performance, and we got through it in the end. We're through to another final. I think we've done Bertie proud. He'd be looking down smiling. What was your overall take of the game?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I thought it was we've spoken about this as well. We've saw teams, Livingston done it against us recently as well, and they do it very well. They defend. They're quite resolute in their defending. They do what they need to do to keep the ball away from the back of their net, and credit to them for that. They frustrated us a lot throughout that game, but it's and you can see it in our game as well. Like that persistence, never sort of letting go and like just continuing. It just barraged them because something eventually it'll pay off like it did. So I mean, it's frustrating to watch for us. I think as Celtic fans because we want to see that free flowing attacking football, but that kind of stifles that. But I think a lot of teams we play this season, because of how dominant we are on the ball, if they, and I've said it before, any team that opens up against us will punish them considerably. And these teams know, I've seen the way Livingston that have done it, and they know that their best bet is to sit back, hit us on a counter attack, and hopefully something falls for them. I mean, we saw I think a couple of teams now have done it against us, where because we play such a high line and Hart's so far off his line, that they're when they get a break with the ball, it's coming up, and even for the halfway line, they're just hitting it. Like, they're not even taking the ball forward. They're not even trying. It's like they're just taking their chances. And St Johnstone, playing credit to them, they obviously had a couple of chances of their own. There was a couple of... See this? I just want to say this as well before I continue. I know we like to play out for the back, right? But see this passing about the back between Hart and Welsh and Vickers, like that need to just stop that entirely, because mind that, I don't know what was it, Kane? No, it wasn't Kane. Who was the player?
There was a moment
where it was passed back and then it's like Hart seen him coming. Like, how fast is the boy? And
he's quick, like.
Mate, honestly, see if he was a couple of settings earlier to that was in.
I think it's things like that. Try to read the situation, but because like we were saying earlier, we've got to believe in the system. You can't just say, well, believe in the system.
I appreciate that, but I mean, how many times has that happened as of late with this passing back? And I mean, it's sometimes you're like, right, I get it, you want to play out for the back and everything else, but like, see if there's no options, hang me. Some guys maybe need to come back and provide an option. Like, how many times did we see Kyogo coming for the front line right back to pick up a ball because nobody else was doing it? Like, he had to move well out of position to come back just to get an extra man so we could try and maneuver the ball about, and that shouldn't be the case. But anyway, I thought it was a great performance. I think we've done really, really well. And you mentioned earlier, Stephen, like the 10 and all that, how sometimes stars just align, like things just happen. Like you said, you mentioned the Hibs game and their number 10, you mentioned us. It was only 1-0, 1-0, 10. With everybody, like the two teams that he wanted to play for, the one that he managed and stuff like that. In the final at Hampden obviously a park that he had an affinity for, and it says that it was almost like our training ground. We'd been there that much. So I mean, sometimes everything just happens for a reason and stars align, and I think this is just one of the things in this. It's just an incredible tribute to Bertie, and like that final is going to be pretty awesome, I think.
I think it will be awesome. But coming to yourself, Franny, now you made an interesting point when we actually weren't quite on air, but you went to a pub to watch it, and it kind of obstructed your view of the game. And it does go into that a wee bit more. So you went to the pub obviously to watch the game. You were sitting with people. You got a different view, but when you watched it again, you got a totally different opinion.
Yeah. So like I was saying to you, when I went out to the pub and watched it and stuff, and sat with a couple of boys that obviously know. And as I said to you before we came on there, I came around thinking it was one of your worst performances ever. And some of it was obviously been happening weeks and weeks before. Like the couple of boys I'd watched it play, like I said at one point, I was like, in midfield have been poor today, which I still stand by. I think it was one of their poorest performances in midfield three. But then one of the boys was like, it's been happening for months. And I'm like, well, but I'm sitting thinking, has it? Then I was like, it's not really there. So obviously I managed to watch it again, and I was like, I mean, we were far from outstanding, but I would probably side more to how John's analysed the game there and saying that I think teams are looking at the Livingston type model and sitting in where St Johnstone obviously are a wee bit different for Livingston. Like, if you watch Livingston, they'll do that nearly every game, whereas St Johnstone probably, like, they do like to play a wee bit more and stuff. And you've seen they did try to attack at times, which obviously helped us a wee bit in the sense that it gave us the space to do what we wanted to do. So I'd probably side after seeing it for myself and for sort of not any outside influence, if you like, and stuff. I would say it was a workmanlike performance, like you said, Stephen. It was just one of the games that was almost like a typical cup tie, in the sense that not necessarily end to end, but it was only got to be the odd goal. Like, it was always got to be a 1-0. Never did I think we were actually going to lose the game. I just never seen it got to that stage in the game where you're like, this is just somebody's got to score with maybe after 70 minutes, somebody's got to score. It might even be with a couple minutes left or something. I was like, but I can only see us scoring, then we might get another goal, maybe not, but it'll not be, I can never see us getting bombarded with pressure and stuff. So it was probably, I don't know if you could say it was a comfy 1-0 win, because I don't think you're ever comfortable with, but at 1-0. But apart from the couple of wee moments that John had sort of mentioned, there was never really nothing really I can remember we saying. I was worried for a second there. I felt like it was we were always got to get the job done, but it just had that feeling it was never going to be 4-3-4 nothing and stuff. It got to a stage that like half time you were looking at it going, we're no, unless we score early in the second half, we're never going to run away with us. It just felt like it was going to be a 1-0 all day long after that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I think that's credit to St Johnstone, as you guys alluded to.
Yeah. That is. You've got to credit them. They had a plan.
I think Callum Davison has them well drilled in what they're doing, and it did work for the most part. Obviously, we got the final goal in the end to win the tie. But I mean, coming to yourself, John, I mean, one of the players that did live up to the entertaining spectacle again is Jada, the man himself.
Unreal.
He's fantastic. And the news came out obviously after that game. A Portuguese journalist did say Celtic want to push the button, and 7.5 million euros, a wee bit higher than we all thought in terms of option to buy. But again, his importance to the team obviously lead up to the goal. It's vital, isn't it?
Oh no, definitely. He was outstanding, and some of the stuff he was doing was just incredible, entertaining, and incredible to watch. And he's key, I think, for us going forward and unlocking defences as well, because we need guys like that who are going to take players on and do stuff to like create space. And he's turning people inside out for fun up here. He's absolutely loving it, and I think it's evident in his football how much he enjoys playing for us. The Portuguese thing again, I take it with a pinch of salt. I think we're all kind of.
I'm with John.
We've been saying it now for the best part of a couple of months. Like, we have to pull the trigger in January. A Portuguese journalist picking up and saying we're thinking about pulling the trigger in January. It's like, well, state the obvious. Like, you're not saying anything that we didn't already expect or know. In terms of the valuation, I think the euro to pounds thing, it still kind of works out relatively. I mean, I don't know.
Not smart enough for that. Not smart enough for that.
I think 6.5 million is probably around about the 7 million euros mark. Right. So I mean, listen, I hope it is true. Like I said, I mentioned before when we signed Jota, like, I've got friends that I met at university and that from Portugal who are Benfica fans, and they're well aware of him, and they themselves says it would be great for us, and that he would love this playing for us in this league. It just wasn't happening for him in Benfica. His chances were few and far between, and the kind of talent he's up competing against significant is a lot different as well. So it's harder to break through for him. But I mean, I think we've seen Benfica fans are obviously keeping an eye on them as well, because you can see them on Twitter and all the rest of it. They're commenting and they're like, who is this guy? Like, why is he not been playing for us? And that this is what he's capable of. And then when they find out that there's this clause and then everything else, they're like, if we lose him, but absolute bargain at that kind of money. Because I think even at this stage, he's probably worth double that easy. And I don't think you could argue that. And I mean,
I don't think you're getting him if I've not got that option to buy. John already agreed that fee. I don't think we're getting him.
No, absolutely. No, and Benfica are probably kicking themselves at the minute too, because he's putting in the kind of performances where they're like, we could command double for this.
Aye.
And I think that it's testament to, obviously, I don't know who it was that scouted him and all
Peter
that.
Law.
I mean, listen, you're probably trying to claim. But I mean, in terms of scouting and the rest of it, whoever it is obviously they've done a fantastic job, and whoever's suggesting that, if it was Angie, he's even better. But absolutely fantastic, and I just want to give a shout out to Forrest as well, coming on and scoring that goal, because we've kind of been. Well, I'll let you get to him then, but I just thought he was outstanding. I just thought we were touching on players who had
let's hold it back. Look, coming to yourself, Franny, I mean, he absolutely, like, Jota rinsed their right back, and every time the camera panned to the right back, he was shouting at him all the time. He was just getting in his face to see if he could unsettle him. But did you see the cross he done towards the start of the game? As John said, he's a talent that we need to buy.
Yeah, it's just like we've said numerous times. He's the type that you like to see at Parkhead. He gets bums off seats and stuff. He's that type of player, and like, I like how it is like a tricky winger and stuff. Where he hit, as we've seen, he's got an end product as well with it, and not just with his assists, but his goal scoring. So he's not just a one trick pony. He has got that. You sometimes see them where they've got all the tricks in the world, but can't cross it or something. They hit byline but can't cross it, or they can't score goals. He's got it all. He's not saying the guy's world class, but for us to get where we want to be, he's definitely a player we really need to sign. And yeah, he had that boy in toaster right back and stuff. And like you say, the boy was shouting at him, but it was just boy probably just sitting going, doesn't matter what I do here right now. He's got me. I just need to try something. And shouting at him might have done something, but evidently never and stuff like. And what I like about Yachty, he can stop and stand the boy up and then go again. Like he doesn't mind he doesn't mind if he has to stop and just stand the boy up and go. He can beat guys all the way round. But I will say, it'd be interesting if VAR was involved. I think there might have been a strong case for the St Johnstone goal getting chopped off, because it'd have been interesting. But equally, if you want to talk about VAR, we would have had a red card for St Johnstone. So they say these things even themselves up.
Yeah,
I think Jota, like,
don't get him started. Him started.
There's no point saying, like, it's stating obvious saying Jota's a deal we need to get done. It's stating obvious, isn't it?
Definitely.
Yeah. Sometimes I think for the Celtic board need a plaster to their faces to get it done. Do you know what I mean? And I seen they released a wee snippet of the Christmas ad. Some people via email.
Whoever's doing the media, that is a blinder they played with that one.
And on the letter thing, the Postecoglou's holding down, it says Jota. So you never know what's this space. But I mean, we'll come on to the
you think this advert? You implying that this advert is subliminal?
Well, but could be.
I liked how they were like man of the match Saturday, player of the month. Monday or something, and then entertainer of the month, entertainer of the whatever tomorrow. I was like, that's an absolute blinder. The media guys,
the media this season's been fantastic. I just want to point that out as well. As somebody who does all that kind of stuff, I appreciate it. Like I really enjoy it.
We appreciate you.
We're going to get in a big argument on the podcast here about it, John.
But we'll come on to the man of the moment, and as you rightly said, John, to bring him up, was James Forrest, the guy who I still can't believe that some elements of the Celtic support haven't took to him or support him like everyone else does. He's won, I've seen 19 trophies. I think that's the stat said, 1 trophy in every 22 games over his career, and it's fantastic. And he comes on after being out for injury for a long period of time. He's come back, and the whole Abada thing, where are you standing on that? Because for me, Abada's still off the boil. Would you keep James Forrest in now after his goal?
I think Forrest wants a start in the next game. I mean, I don't have anything against Abada, but I was quite surprised that Abada started ahead of Forrest on Saturday. And I mean, I think we'd all assumed, based on especially Angie's comments as well, pre-game, that Forrest might be in for a start. But again, Abada's still a young guy. I think we can see the talent he's got, but he's still a lot of development to do to be before he's anywhere near a finished article. But he's certainly, I think he'll come good for us in over the years. But Forrest, as you mentioned, he's experienced. He's probably one of the, if not the most experienced player in the team at the minute, in terms of length of service and stuff like that. So I mean, I think his experience is invaluable, and he showed what he's capable of again when he came on. He was cutting inside. He was being a little bit more an attacking threat than Abada. I thought Abada was practically non-existent on Saturday. Yeah. Again, I don't think that's down to him no playing well or whatever. Like he's no good enough. I think it's a case of St Johnstone just kind of shut him out, and we had a lot of focused on the left because Jota was doing damage. Abada wasn't really getting an opportunity to come into the game like that, but when he did, I mean, as I said, St Johnstone done what they needed to do. They defended quite well, and they kept him quiet. But when Forrest came on, you seen the difference, and the fresh legs, and it just brought a wee bit more energy, I think, in the team. And obviously, bless you, and obviously he's got his reward through getting that goal, and he had that goal was the one that sent us through to the final. So I thought it was a great performance. I expect him to sort of kick on a bit and start playing a wee bit more regularly now going forward.
Yeah, I think you make a great point in terms of Abada, John. He was shut out. They doubled up on him, and the way they were sitting deep as well, it was hard for him to use his pace. He doesn't have a trick. So he relies on his pace to get in behind. So that was kind of not for him that game. But coming to you, Franny, about Forrest. I mean, he came on, he scored the vital goal, as John said, most experience probably in the team, along with McGregor. And I think going forward, especially in this title chase, as people are calling it, we need that experience. We need them players who've been over the line. I know that's a used phrase from other people, but it's true. You need that know-how. And Abada's still 20, still learning. He will come good, I'm sure. But I mean, he scored 5 goals, 7 assists already, which is fantastic. But do you think James Forrest warrants his starts now?
I think so. I mean, I was like John. I was expecting him to start on Saturday, and a lot of that was based on Andy's comments. There's usually a clue when the manager starts talking about a player that's coming back for injury and things like that. It's maybe a wee clue into I'm starting. But then Ross obviously made a good point on the group chat. He's obviously been out for, this wasn't just a wee sort of a 4 or 5 week injury that Forrest's been out for. He's been out for, God, since February or something. I think he's been out for a good part of the year. And so Ross actually made a good point that it's a semi-final. We didn't really expect Forrest to come in and that, but it just showed that he's a big game player. He scores big game goals, and he done it again and stuff. And I think he showed, without actually sounding like I'm digging out Abada, because I think Abada will come good. He's off the boil. He's raw. He's off the boil, but his sort of numbers is good for being raw and off the boil. And so I think he'll be good for Abada, just showing him this is what you need if you want to succeed at this club. This is the level you need to get to. And I think just in that sort of a wee brief, wasn't really a cameo performance for us, but his performance, it showed that what Abada needs to do. And I mean, that sounds silly when Abada's got 12 sort of a goal contributions already at the season. Sounds stupid saying that, but I think Forrest
I don't think it is.
I think Forrest will be good for Abada. It could either be the making or breaking of Abada, because Abada could maybe just go into shell. I don't know what type of character is, but it doesn't look that type. He looks a confident. He never seems to shy away from the ball, regardless how poor a game is. But I think Abada potentially is also sort of he's suffering a bit for how well Jota's playing, and we're maybe more inclined to go down the left, so he's not seeing much of the ball and stuff. But so it could be sort of things like that. But and I do. He obviously is 20-year-old, so he's got a bit of growing to do. I think he needs to bulk up a wee bit. So, like I say, he's not got that trick, so he's losing his pace. So he's also got to need a wee bit of muscle to hold boys off, like to shove boys away instead of them just shoving him off and stuff. But I think the return of Forrest could be very telling. I think Postecoglou's handled it well. He's no rushing him back again.
Yeah.
Abada's helped with no rushing him back, because although Abada's not been brilliant at times, he's still contributed to help probably delay, if you like, Forrest coming back. So I'd expect in the next few games Forrest to play and stuff. Certainly the European game coming up, might not play in the league game, just maybe drop him for that and then slowly sort of introduce him a wee bit. But I can see Forrest playing a lot more regular going forward.
Mm-hmm. I think as well, it's right to point out Abada, we're not jumping on him here. It's just obviously the fact that Forrest, the experienced player,
maybe we should, Stephen, because apart from Barkas, it works all right for us if we jump on somebody.
We'll see what happens. But he's doing the exact same thing with Julian. Francis not rushing him back, and in his latest interview, he said he'll be back soon. He doesn't want to rush that time period in case he comes back, gets injured. But there's one other player I want to touch upon before we move on to other things, because I know John's busting to talk about a certain subject, but we'll get there. And that's obviously, and that's obviously the fact we saw James McCarthy come on. I think it was for like 15, 16 minutes, round about that. But for me in that game anyway, John, I thought he showed calmness, a presence. He played the ball well. He played short passes. And if he plays like that, I would put him ahead of Beaton. What about you?
No, yet. I mean, Beaton has made that position his at the minute. I think that he's came in, and since we started playing him in that role, he's been superb for us. I think he's not put a foot wrong, so I don't think it would be fair for you to start playing McCarthy in that role ahead of Beaton at this stage. Same reason that we wouldn't out Ralston for the position he's in favour of Juranovic, because Ralston's not put a foot wrong. He's been solid. When he came on, he did make a couple of mistakes. He almost cost us with a pass back. But I mean, listen, again, I think he's still somebody who's adjusting to the style of play. I don't think it's a style of football he's used to. But I think Ange is the kind of guy that'll get the best out of guys in time. But yeah, I think he certainly looks a more assured player when he came on then than he did previously. I think as time goes on, we'll probably start to see him or rather, we'll see us getting the best out of him as he starts to sort of adapt a wee bit more and things like that. But it's difficult to say. But I think it's way too early for us to start talking about getting rid of Beaton or anything like that. Honestly, mate, I do apologise.
No, I get what you mean.
I'm just going to say this, right? We're not live, but it's like these things. Like, you just need to take it. I'm sorry.
Well, excuse you, John. I mean, I get the whole. Obviously, I might have jumped the gun by saying he should start ahead of Beaton friendly, but more what I'm alluding to, I want to see him start a game because I was one of the guys who was like, why have we given him a 4-year deal? He came on the pitch against St Johnstone. He did look assured, but John's right to point out he made a back pass and nearly cost us a goal. But apart from that, he was a presence and for me a common influence in the midfield when Beaton was obviously shipped back to centre back because Stephen Welsh went off injured. But what was your take on his cameo performance, to say the least?
I was impressed with it. Just obviously that pass aside, like I thought he was very calm. It was similar to how when he came on against Ferencvaros as well, and that he kind of just settled us down. He dictated the tempo of the sort of the game and stuff. Just exactly what you need to see you through a game. And I probably would start him, but I probably would start him in the next game if he's fit. I just think his experience. I mean, Beaton, you can say Beaton has played about 250 games in 10 years. Like Beaton, Beaton has been good since he came in and played in the centre midfield, but we can't really. I can't be looking at Beaton as going forward as being in the Celtic team. This guy, like, he's actually drew a testimonial when he played 250 games. I don't think it's mental. I would be playing McCarthy, but McCarthy needs to turn up. He needs to turn up and show that he deserves to be in the team. I get that. I know what John's saying was sort of like Juranovic and the Ralston one. I think that's totally different because Ralston has been an 8 out of 10 nearly every week, where Beaton's he's been a 6.5. Nah, he's been all right in
that midfield position.
I thought it was poor on Saturday.
I thought it was bad on Saturday. I would never play him in defence. But as a midfielder,
no. I agree there. But I thought it was poor on Saturday. I thought it was actually really poor on Saturday.
Beaton?
Aye.
Wow.
I thought it was bad on Saturday.
You don't listen to too many people in the pub, Franny.
I just didn't think it was one of his better games.
Here, but look, obviously topical issues, and we had Nick Welsh again as the referee, John, and Stephen Welsh got a ban.
Time for this.
I'm going to put a kettle.
Keep it short. Keep it short.
Go for the kettle.
Stephen Welsh got a bad dunk to the head, elbow. Do you think it should have been a red?
Yes.
Aye. Can he be anything else?
Is that all you're giving me?
No, see, Nick, somebody needs to just take Nick Walsh's refereeing. Do they even have licenses? Whatever it is that he's got that deems him qualified to referee a high-level game in the SPFL needs to be completely revoked. He needs to be taken off him and never given back. And he just needs to go back to the job centre and do something else because he is absolutely.
That wasn't the worst refereeing decision this weekend.
I don't listen. It was the worst, one of the worst performances I've seen.
It was bad.
And by the way, not just as a Celtic fan.
It,
oh, listen, he didn't get me started on your man either. But see, Nick Walsh, last time we played St Johnstone, he was the referee. So we had that incident with Vickers and Kane. Kane assaulted the man, right? Vickers retaliated, and rightly so. I mean, you've just been volleyed in the fucking stomach. Like, you're going to get up, you're going to react. I challenge anybody who gets volleyed in the stomach to not react. And yet, Kane only gets booked, and Vickers gets booked as well, right? Absolutely mind-boggling decision. And then he does the exact same again this time. Who was it? It was Kyogo.
Kyogo got booked, yeah.
I'm still trying to work out what he got booked for.
I'm pretty sure
Yeah, so much.
the boy. I don't know what he got booked for. Like he got dragged down to the ground, right? And while he was on the ground, it looked like he got stamped on. Now, whether it was deliberate or not, he got stood on, right? Kyogo, who is probably, I know he maybe likes to get a wee bit in people's faces and stuff like that, but he's not an aggressive player, and I don't think we can see that's not the type of guy that he is. And for him to get up as quick as he did and then give the guy a shove. And by the way, Nick Walsh was standing right next to him and kind of had his arm out and was like, look, come on. Right? And then he goes and books Kyogo anyway. For what?
Yeah.
Explain it to me. I'd love to actually just sit in the room with Nick Walsh and
wouldn't want to be in that room.
I would just like to hear actually and just with a straight face explain what he's doing. He doesn't seem like he's got any idea how to referee a game of football. I don't think he understands the rules fully. And by the way, as a St Johnstone fan, you should be absolutely raging as well, because towards the end of that game, he was just chucking about yellow cards to anybody for anything. It was absolutely ridiculous. I'm convinced he's texted his pal at halftime, and I'm making this accusation, right? He's texted his pal at halftime and tell him booking points in play. This is how corrupt I think he is. This is how useless and corrupt I think he is. It wouldn't surprise me. He's absolutely at it, because there's no logical or reasonable explanation for doing what he's done. It's baffling. Unless somebody's profiting off it, it's absolutely baffling.
Well, the SPFL will be, because you don't get like fines if you get X amount of bookings in a match or something, so they might be profiting at that.
Listen, let's not go into the SPFL either. The place tap to bottom, referees, and everybody that runs the SPFL is corrupt to the core.
Wait till you tell John you were talking about Stephen Welsh and no Nicky Welsh.
I'm just talking about the referees and how shocking it was. And it brings me back again. Sorry, Stephen, please cut me off. Cut me off before I put myself in a deeper hole.
See, just you saying that, it's mental you saying that, and he didn't actually have the worst refereeing performance this weekend.
Listen, let's be the Madden thing aside, right?
Aside, he actually booked the boy for getting pushed off a fan.
That sent him off. He sent him off.
It was a second booking to send him off.
Listen, I never seen that incident, so I can't comment on it. If I'd have seen it, I'd probably have what to say. But
the Aberdeen boy got pushed off a fan, and then the fairness went like that towards him, and then the player got booked. Wow! He was chasing a ball down, and then obviously just momentum tearing him over the advertising boards towards the crowd, and then the boy's leaning over the sort of stand and pushes him, and then the Aberdeen boy kind of like just walks towards him and shouts in his face, and then gets booked and sent off.
This just further. Hey, this is
why do you have to say that? Why?
Do you know what that just reinforces the point I've made repeatedly about the fact that these guys aren't qualified? And I mean, we can go over this. And listen, I'm not going to just. It might be annoying for people to listen to, right? But see, anytime we see refereeing performances like this, I think as fans we need to call it out. We need to start calling it out. You can't just fucking. Well, and quite rightly so, if that's the kind of shit he's doing. But I mean, like, we can't just sit back and then just go, it's his job, or whatever the case is, because that's not his job. He's not doing his job. And by the way, the fact a fan has put his hands on a player is shocking as well. I hope was the fan ejected. Hopefully Stuart's got hold of him.
I don't know. I mean, he got point out.
But I mean, you're just reinforcing the fact that these referees are absolutely useless. And but Bobby Madden aside, right? Nick Walsh should never referee another game in Scotland again. I wouldn't even trust him to put him in charge of like amateur football. He is dire. He's hopeless, completely.
And
half the fence, John. Half the fence.
Right.
He's sitting on that big time.
Be getting skills. Be getting skills in that. Half it has.
I mean,
I know. Probably I did go on a bit, and I like. But I genuinely feel strongly about it. Like it sickens me. It genuinely does. And we can recoup. We need to watch the same pitch again and again and again.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway. I need a drink.
I mean, unless you have anything to add, Franny, we'll move on.
I thought you had a good game, the ref.
Oh, gee, please don't. Please
I'm
don't.
out. Bye.
But here. I was like, whoa. What's going on? But here, look, we all know it's done. Semi-final weekend's done. Hamden's going to be green and white. Celtic and Hibs final, 19th of December, 3 p.m. kickoff. It's one we're all looking forward to. And we'll turn our head towards Europe, guys, and we face a trip to Germany, Francis. That's better, isn't it? Yeah. Against Leverkusen, who kind of smashed his first game. But at the end of the game anyway, off getting into the final, do you think we'll get a result? How are you feeling? What do you think is going to happen?
I'm not sure. I mean, one thing I'm confident of is we'll score, because we've scored in every sort of away European tie, I think, this season. And we've always scored early in the European ties as well. So I think that's a positive. You can look at and say we always start well and stuff. So I'm confident we're scoring. Obviously, when you sent out, we discussed what we're going to talk about, obviously, this up-and-coming game. I looked into briefly looked into Leverkusen's fixtures, and like the last 9 fixtures since we played them, they've only won 3. And they've drew a couple and lost some, and they're conceding goals. But then obviously look at isolation, they've lost to Dortmund, lost to Bayern, lost to Wolfsburg and lost to Bayern and things like that, which plenty teams will probably do, but they seem to be shipping goals. So that's maybe something we maybe need to look on. I've read a couple of things online, not necessarily just today, but through ever since we played them, where their keeper's not been great. I find that hard to believe after watching them at Parkhead, that their keeper's not been great, because it was an absolute world beater that day.
Outstanding game, man.
So I find, unless that was his own one and only good game, so fingers crossed. But it's going to be difficult, Stephen, to get something out of the game when you can only base it on what we've seen in the first, obviously not the first leg, but the first time playing them. They're getting beat 4-0 at home, so I would say on that evidence, you would say it's a nigh impossible job to go and expect to even get a draw there. But we're in a lot better place now. We're playing a lot better. We're not as open. We're as a defensive unit, we're a lot better. It may be impacted. I don't know how fit Welsh has got to be. I'm assuming he's got to be okay. I don't know if it was maybe just a concussion type thing he was taken off for at the weekend. I don't know if Starfelt's got to be back, but I wouldn't really expect him to go straight in, considering it was a hamstring injury. So, providing obviously Welsh is fit, I think we are as a team in a better place, and as a unit in a better place. So, I'm slightly optimistic, Stephen. But would I be surprised if we got turned over again? No, because I don't think Leverkusen are clearly a good team. So I don't know, Stephen. I'm confident. As I say, I'm confident we'll score simply based on what we've done. We've done it every other round, so it'll just depend. Hopefully, like the other games, we've scored first, and it gives you something to build on. So it's one of them. We'll either get the result, whether that be a win or a draw, that we need to sort of keep the sort of campaign alive in the Europa proper, if you like. But equally, I wouldn't be surprised if they turned us over again, just based on how they played against us at Parkhead.
And see, to be fair, I don't think that's being negative. It's being realistic. Many people obviously are like, Celtic will win, blah, blah, blah. But you have to be realistic. John, we're playing Leverkusen. So, I mean, a brilliant team with some fantastic young talent, and obviously Frimpong plays them as well. But one game that gives me confidence is the Real Betis game over in Spain. Mm-hmm. We actually played really well that game, and just unfortunate we didn't obviously hold on to get the win. But does that give you confidence, John? If we replicate that type of performance, it'll be at least a free scoring game anyway, for the neutral.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, Franny made some good points there, and I think, like he says, there's been considerable time since the last time we played them and now, and we've certainly progressed since then. And at least on paper, it seems, if you look at Leverkusen's recent results, they've regressed to an extent. But I do want to say this, right? The scoreline certainly looked far more favourable for Leverkusen in that game than it actually was, because I think for large spells of that, we were pretty dominant. And like you said, Franny, if it wasn't for their keeper, that game could have been entirely a different result, a different scoreline altogether. I think we're definitely going to see a couple of goals either side. I think if we defend as well as we have been, we could be enough to sort of shut them out a wee bit more. And if we were as creative as we have been, like I think any team that comes to us and leaves themselves open in any way, shape, or form is susceptible to conceding. I think we've got enough about us to score goals, which is something we've not been able to say for quite a wee while now. But I mean, I'm confident. I think if we can play to the way we know we can play, and we can get into rhythm, and we can stop them playing, then I can see us picking up a result. And like I said, that game, the first game against Leverkusen, I think it's harsh to say. I mean, we did get turned over in terms of the result. It certainly looked more favourable. But I thought for large spells of that game, we were very impressive. And on another day, that referee has that referee. See, I'm still. It's still annoying me. That goalkeeper. That goalkeeper has a bad game. Then that's an entirely different result altogether. So I'm confident there's enough about us to maybe to take. I think we'll concede, but I think we'll score, and I think we could nick the 3 points.
Confident. And give us your lineup prediction and score prediction, John.
Probably the exact same starting lineup, assuming Welsh is all right against St Johnstone, but I would start Forrest on the right ahead of Abada.
Score
3-2 Celtic.
Oof. Franny, go ahead. No comfy 2-0 for this one.
Nah, definitely not comfy 2-0. I'm the same as John. I think it'll be the same, providing obviously Welsh is injured. Obviously that's got to depend on lot, but it didn't look serious. I'm going off, so I'm hoping he's got to be fit for it. So yeah, pretty much same team as Saturday with Forrest starting the right. Personally, I would start McCarthy, but I just don't see it happening. I think he'll stay. I'm more than confident Beaton will be starting in the midfield, and I'll go for a 2-2. I think
2-2.
A comfortable 2-2.
Not comfortable 2-2.
For me, Welsh comes back in, obviously, if he gets through the head knock. I think McCarthy will start, dropping Beaton out, and I think Forrest will start on the right, and I'll go a free each draw, an entertaining, free scoring game.
Everybody's got an entertaining game. Everybody's got an entertaining game right now.
I just have a funny feeling this game's going to erupt. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be like just all over.
It's got the potential.
Yeah. And as you said, it's key if we want to stay in Europa League proper in terms of getting through to the next stage. So if we get a result and Batiste kind of slip up against Ferencváros, who knows? We could be in that competition after Christmas instead of Europa League conference. But sure, that brings us to the end of the show, guys. But as you always know, the quiz is here, and it's between Franny and John, and he just dips his head down slowly. He doesn't want to do it, but he's into it. It's 5 questions, and the first of 3, you know the drill again. You're well rehearsed in this.
Why I'm so convinced. It's like a guaranteed loss.
No, me and Anthony last week was embarrassing. Then the bet old one. That was embarrassing.
To be fair, can I just comment on that, Stephen? Listen, see, bear in mind, right? You're going, oh, come on, like because you know the answer. But if you were asked these questions as well, I think a lot of people were kind of going, like I was sitting when I was watching it back, I couldn't get answers either. Know that's surprising to anybody who watches this show. But I mean, I think a lot of people would have generally struggled with some of the questions because there are no answers that people immediately know. But you're like that. Come on! Oh, you gonna like? It made me laugh because I was like, "You're sitting with the answers in front of you. Of course, you know them."
It's not even that, John.
I had the teams in that 4. Partick. That's all.
Aye, and Partick again.
Come on. Let that go. Let that go. You're not getting that back. No chance. Right.
I'm just trying to delay this from happening.
Yeah. We'll fire in here. First question. What minute did James Forrest score a goal at the weekend?
72nd.
No.
76th.
No. One more guess, Franny.
75.
No. 73rd minute. Both wrong.
I said 73rd.
Oh, did you? Right. Sorry.
See, there's this right after a great start of Stephen.
1-0, Franny. How many trophies has James Forrest won for Celtic?
19.
2-0. Right. Let me get the second one here. Not prepared here, boys. Is ready? And what number did Celtic wear in their shorts?
10. I actually got that. I got that because I was lazy earlier. I was at 10.
Yo, you give me that one.
James McCarthy played for another Scottish club. Which was it?
Hamilton.
3-1. Look, see how easy that was this week for you.
That was close. That was close.
That's the next one. They'll beat them 4-1.
I'm telling you, by the way, that was close.
I will.
You
didn't even attempt, did you? I didn't hear you once. No?
Right, okay.
I'm only waiting
When you hear it back,
you want the next question, John?
I think give myself. No, I'm going to lose it anyway.
I'm glad.
Well, like,
I'm just saying that Hamilton was close.
I could be acting the big shot and got it fucking wrong.
Again, I just want to say that obviously the people who are watching this applies to you. Again, if you're liking what you're seeing on YouTube, subscribe, hit the bell, you'll be notified when we go live. I mean, we're growing, as I always say. We've smashed 500, we're on 520 now, so the journey to 1,000 starts now, fellas, and hopefully it'll be a quick one. We'll get there quickly. And again, it's the end of the podcast. Have you enjoyed this one?
It's been good. It's been good, but been good.
Nah, it's good to be back on.
And a final. Yeah. It's not Celtic.
Exactly. Positive podcast. Minus the referee rant, it was positive.
And as we know, Hampden will be green and white on the 19th of December. And that's a fantastic thought. And also, again, for people who are listening and watching, take advantage of the 20% off. Come up to Christmas. A great gift idea for family, for friends, whoever really does, take advantage of it. It's there for you. And until we speak again, stay well and keep safe. Hail, hail.